Hey everyone, welcome back to a new episode of the John Gill Podcast Show. So on this episode, we're going to quickly talk about the importance of saving and watching your monthly budget because one of the biggest problems that I've seen really is that when people make more income or they have, especially with all the new stimulus money coming through, that they overextend themselves and create new burdens, really, that when the money dries out, that they're going to have a tough time paying back. So the main reason that I mention this is because, and I'm guilty of this too, is that when we have a new job and, we're making much more money, we tend to expect that money to continue in the long run. And if that doesn't, and the problem is, we start to take on new credit cards, new loans with the expectation that that money will continue in the foreseeable future. The problem is when we have issues like what's going on right now with the pandemic or other sort of shocks in the economy, you're unprepared for making those payments, and that's how people get into bankruptcy and just get into all sorts of problems just by not following simple steps to ensure that they have the right funds. So the rule of thumb really is, you want to have at least 3 times, you want to be making on monthly 3 times the amount of your rent payment, and you want to be making at least 50% more your combined rent payment plus all of your credit cards and debit cards. So if you're not doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to be in a lot of trouble once the crap hits the fan. I couldn't think of any other word to say it, but when things start to go south, then you're going to be in a lot of problems. So again, my biggest recommendation is that you are not applying for new credit cards right off the bat when you get that new job. Or, when you take, or let's say even in real estate, right? You sell a property, you come up on, you've got huge capital gains, maybe you made $100,000, but you've been making cash flow a month, $30,000. You want to live with what you're going to be making. So that additional amount of money, that extra $100,000 or $50,000 would be it. You don't use that to buy a ton of things that don't create additional wealth for you. Okay. So another thing that I point out is that there is good debt and bad debt. So let's start with the bad debt. The bad debt is what, we're all used to. And that is you get a credit card, you start spending it on the movies, you start spending it on, just things that won't bring you on clothes, on shopping, on groceries, on gasoline, just the day to day. And, all of that's really costing you on these credit cards. You're looking at 18, 25% APRs. So whatever you're buying, in the long run, is going to cost you a fortune. So that's what I call bad debt. It's not really bringing you anything more than probably you feeling a lot better because you have, the new t-shirt, the new shirt, the shoes. And I guess there's some value in that too, right? Because that can also resonate through your confidence. But I would say that you want to focus on the good debt. And the good debt is you pull out, say, a credit card to invest into a property. And I doubt there's a credit card, I haven't seen many credit cards that you can use that have a credit line large enough to buy real estate. But by that, I mean maybe you extend your credit cards because you're using that to buy materials for your construction project. And, that's good debt, right? Because you're investing into your property. You know that you're generating more value, more wealth through that investment vehicle. Another great thing is using your line of credit. So let's say you have a personal property, your home, and you've got equity. Okay. So what you owe versus what the market will pay is your equity. Hopefully you have positive equity. And let's say you owe the bank $100,000, and now that your property is worth $100,000 more, so let's say $200,000, you can go to the bank and pull out a line of credit for that amount. And actually, with U.S. Bank, that's who I went with. you're able to get, I think, even up to like 90%, 85 to 90% line of credit. The beauty of that is the interest rate starts at 3.99. At the end of the year, I think it bumps up to about 5.5%, 6%. It's still a lot lower than, your 25% APR credit cards. So what you're going to do is you can take that line of credit, pay down all of those credit cards, and consolidate. So, all of those high interest credit cards, those student loans. Well, I take that back. Some student loans have pretty desirable interest rates. So you want to compare and just ensure that the credit card that you are closing off obviously has a higher rate. So if you're going from like a 20% down to a 4% interest rate, that additional money you're saving each month is as though you're making more money each month. So if you could save $200, well, you may not have made $200 through your cash flow businesses, but if you're able to save $200, essentially it's kind of the same thing, right? You're now keeping an extra $200 a month in your pocket that then after a while it can accumulate, and then you can reinvest into positive generating investment vehicles like real estate, or through stocks. If you have a Robinhood account, you can invest as low as $500, but be careful because the stock market again is just crazy. But for what we're discussing today, I'm just talking real estate. So again, you want to be careful that you are focusing on good credit and not bad credit. And on an Instagram post, I remember someone mentioned that that credit is evil, that it's the worst thing out there. I think there's different gurus who say the best to do is cash is king, never pull out credit cards. And I think what the problem is just they don't have, or they lack the discipline. They lack the discipline because they lack the discipline because I think most people know the difference between good and bad credit, but at the end of the day, it's just, it's really enticing to just go for your personal needs that you're feeling in that moment, right? So you're not supposed to put the credit card on that beer, or you're not supposed to put that credit card on the new shoes, but you get a little rush of dopamine, and when you swipe that card, and next thing you know, you're $5,000, $10,000 in the hole, and it didn't really serve you anything well. So again, try to focus anytime you get credit on things that will generate more revenue, or on wealth creation through appreciation of assets like real estate. Or, for example, or another great one is if you're going to use the credit card for a business expense, then that's good debt. If you're going to spend, if you don't have the money, but you're going to put $2,000 into advertising, well, that hopefully should be able to pay itself off and at least bring in an additional $1,000 in revenue. So again, that's just something quickly I wanted to point out to everyone. Just focus on not overextending your credit, not pulling out new credit cards or spending that additional revenue. When you get that new job, live as though you're still making that $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and anything above that should be invested. That's what I did. Every single penny that I had, I always put back into real estate. And my wife always said, how is it possible that we're not making any money? I don't get it. You say that we have real estate, but we're always broke. So the problem is because I'm putting all of the additional funds that I made on a deal as a broker, I would save it, and then I would put it right back into a property and almost force myself to not see that money in the bank because I knew I would spend it. So it's called forced savings. I don't recommend it, but sometimes you need to do that in order to force yourself to save. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you like what you heard, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much.